Hi, my name is Jane Rideout. This is my husband, Gary, and we're the senior pastors, the co-senior pastors at St. Andrews. And this past week in church, we continued our sermon series called Marriage and Other Difficult Relationships. And we focused on communication, how to listen to your partner or to other people that you were in relationship with. And so we thought we'd kind of just share a little bit of our experience in learning to listen to each other. Gary will tell you about that.
Well, we learned a communication technique that we went through a seminar at about the time we got married. It was called Fighting for Your Marriage, I think. And it was taught by one of the counseling professors at the seminary, which we were going to Asbury Seminary then. And basically it was a technique to, when you get in a situation where you're not communicating, where things are starting to escalate, it slows the pace down of talking to each other, and it forces you to listen to that other person as they're talking. So basically the technique was, it seems a little contrived at first, but it worked out really well, is that you sat down and one person had the floor at first, and they even taught you to hold something. So we had this little magic wand that looked like the colorful one that Natalie had. So whoever had the wand could talk. And then as you were talking, you used I statements. There was no blaming, or there was no about talking about the other person, but what you feel, what you're experiencing. And the other person had to focus on what you were saying, because after you were done, you kept it short. After you were done, they had to paraphrase what you said. So it forces you to really understand what they're saying. So you kind of went back and forth that way, and it slowed down the pace of the conversation, hopefully de-escalated the tension and the anger, and also that other person felt they were really listened to. And just by going through that exercise, most of the time you came up with not just a resolution, but you came with a common ground, a common understanding, which really helped our communication. We don't use the wand anymore, but we just kind of do it naturally now.
It's funny because we needed a technique, not for all conversations, not for all conflicts, but the conflicts when we were both really deeply invested in, kind of the conflicts that felt impossible to deal with. And it was a great technique, but we did run into a wall. And the wall really kind of fell on me, because we would use the technique back and forth. And if I didn't feel heard after saying it once or twice, I wanted to give up. I would just say, oh, chuck it, and it can't be fixed. And I will say Gary was the one who would always say, no, let's try this again. I remember one evening in particular, it took us hours. But I remember coming out of that thinking, I have this amazing husband who invested hours, because I was ready to give up after about 40 minutes. There's lots of techniques out there that I think would work. This was something for us, but what we learned is that sometimes you really need a vehicle or a process in which to communicate, especially on the really hard stuff.
We hope that you will join us at online or in person at St. Andrews United Methodist Church as we continue this series on marriage and other difficult relationships. Hope to see you. God bless.